What is this? I don't even... Hey everybody, this is Mike Sparks with another Sparklepony Roundup. Sorry I didn't get an episode out last week, but between being sick and my computer trying to die, it didn't work out. I'm going to have two up this week, and today we're going to talk about raid equality. Something that we're hearing a lot about right now. It's a huge hot button issue, and since today is the day that the LFR wing comes out, I figured today would be a good time to talk about it, since I wasn't able to last week. Now, I want to preface this by saying I have nothing against LFR raiders. I understand a lot of you don't have the time or the shifts, in some cases, to put in to a regular raid group. One of my very good friends, one of the guys that I handed this the guild that I used to run over to, is right now forced to be an LFR raider because he works nights every night. And while he could theoretically go find a graveyard shift guild, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of money, and he doesn't really have either of those things. So I'm not putting you guys down. Most of the people that are problematic in LFR are not LFR raiders. They're heroic and regular raiders that don't want to be there. So with that being said, I want to talk about what Bashiok talked about recently. And I think Bashiok actually put it in a good way. There's a few things I can kind of add to it, maybe clarify, because it seems like his post didn't settle with most people. I think that's the word I'm looking for. But for those of you not aware, there's a huge complaint right now on the forums about the fact that the LFR came out this week and not last week, and also the fact that Flex Raid and LFR are being released in wings at separate times as opposed to the normal mode raid, which was released all at once. Now, if that doesn't make any sense to you, because that's the way Blizzard's always done it, you're not alone. A lot of people are getting on these people that are complaining, and both sides, they have valid concerns, but ultimately what Blizzard is doing is the right move, and there's reasons for that. And the main thing we keep hearing on the forums and in chat rooms and everywhere that people can complain about this is people stating that their $15 is just as good as everybody else's $15, and that's true. And that's part of the issue here is Blizzard wants to keep your $15 coming in. If we release, well, not we, I don't work for Blizzard. I don't work for Blizzard. Most of us don't. If Blizzard releases the LFR content all on one day, most LFR exclusive raiders are going to queue up, blaze through all 4 wings in about 6 to 8 hours, and then what? Now, I know there are some people that keep going through the LFR and get as close to best in slot as you can get doing LFR, just in case you can either break out into another mode of raiding later if your schedule clears up, or just for personal preference. But most people are going to be like, well, I killed Garrosh, I guess I'm done. Unsubscribe till next expansion. And that's not going to help Blizzard. It's not going to help Blizzard at all. The second thing you got to think about is right now you have access to all of the same content that we do. You may not choose to use it, but it's all still there. So yes, your $15 is still just as good as our $15. And honestly, once again, going back to what I had just previously said, if you have 8 hours to queue up for all of these LFRs, you have a couple hours to sit there and trade chat until somebody asks for a DPS and a Flex Raid. And granted, you'll only be able to do that first wing again, but that's still more gear, that's more raid content, that's more stuff for you to do. So that argument to me really doesn't work out. Another thing to consider is the people that do raid regular and heroic. And I'm not a heroic raider, I'm a regular raider, so don't throw me any elitist vibes. Right now, I haven't even actually set foot into regular Siege of Orgrimmar because we were short a couple people. We raid 25. So we did Flex Raid last week. And yeah, I got some nice boots, but they're Flex Raid boots. We're none of 14 right now in Siege of Orgrimmar, because Flex doesn't count as progression, which is something that I talked about in my very first episode as to why Flex was not going to break LFR and it wasn't going to break normal mode rating. Getting back on track, when you consider the normal and heroic mode raiders, they already have 18... That's not right. I'm bad at math, but I'm not that bad at math. They already have, if they're a heroic raider, 28 bosses to clear before they're done with this patch. And a lot of those bosses are going to be farmed both in heroic and normal mode. And if you add flex rating in there, that brings it to 42 bosses that are being progressed through and farmed. And then if you add that extra layer, you have, that's 56 bosses. So if they opened all wings of the raid on day one, just said, go at it, whatever difficulty you want to go at it, the heroic raiders would potentially have up to 56 bosses to go through on opening day. Opening week, I guess. But that is ludicrous. That is insane. That's way too much. And I mean, there has to be a little bit of regulation somewhere, and releasing everything in wings and requiring regular mode to be cleared before you can go into heroic mode is one of the ways that they regulate that. And that brings me to the other argument that people keep using when complaining about the cycle of the LFRs, is they keep saying, well, if it's already there, if you've already built it, if it's already working, why don't you just let us have it? And for that, I have to go back to Burning Crusade. Everybody who played during Burning Crusade and when Burning Crusade came out remembers the amazing Illidan trailer. You are not prepared. Got everybody psyched to go into Outland. He was the final boss. He was the big confrontation. And Blizzard released him too early and he was killed anticlimactically. And then what did we have to do? Granted, because it was a mandatory 25 mode raid, a lot of people never really got the chance to experience Illidan, but for all of the raiders that went and did that, they ran out of content really quickly. And so Blizzard had to scramble and find something else to put out, and that's how we got the Sunwell, which then ended up being even more problematic because even less people actually got to clear and see that. So Blizzard has learned from their mistakes, and they have found a way to put everything out at a pace and at a rate that is comfortable for the raiding community. And without going into people being derogatory and saying that LFR raiders aren't real raiders, because as I said at the beginning of this episode, that's a very complicated thing to get into. There's more sides to it than just they don't want to put forth the effort, because they might not, or they might just not have the time. So it's not fair to discriminate. But nonetheless, for people to say that LFR raiders are being persecuted because of that, that's not the case here, people. The case is Blizzard is trying to keep you in the game. Blizzard is trying to find ways to get you to maybe do a little more stuff so that you don't run out of content right away. Because what happens when you're out of things to play in a game, you stop playing. And Blizzard wants to keep you here until 6.0 drops. So I wish everybody would just kind of calm down here a little bit and think about it prospectively, rather than just be indignant because you gotta wait another week to raid. You could still potentially be raiding in other ways. And I'm not saying you have to go find a guild and step in normal mode. Like I said before, if you have that 8 hours to commit to burning through LFR all in one day, which is what a lot of LFR raiders do when that all comes out on day one, you have the time to go find a flex raid. So I hope that you do so. I'm not telling you to do so, but it's a friendly suggestion. And it's not just a friendly suggestion from me. I mean, why do you think Blizzard put in the heirloom weapons for normal mode and flex raid? You know, they want to try and incentivize you guys to go and do some more stuff. So, you know, go out there and be social again, because that's what an MMORPG is supposed to be. It's supposed to be you playing with other people, downing content. It's not just, oh, I'm going to queue up by myself, I'm going to ignore all these other 24 guys and go get my loot pinata. Interact. That's what this game is coming back to, and it's a thing that we have sorely missed. And I'm sorry if that doesn't suit your playstyle. I understand people are scary even on the internet. I know I can seem pretty damn weird in trade chat. But ultimately, you know, you're missing out. And so, you know, some of you know that, and I sympathize with you guys. But for those of you that can do this content in blocks like that, you do have the time. So make use of that time. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say here. I've said it a couple times now, so I think that's become apparent. So I'm going to wrap this up. I am still looking for feedback on the concept of scaled old school raids. That was my mini-sode from 2 weeks ago. So if you have a comment or an idea regarding that, please leave it with me. You can go back and watch the episode up where the thumb has been pointing awkwardly now for a little while. And you can get a hold of me with any questions, concerns, or ideas at twitter.com/ponyzord or ponyzord.tumblr.com. This is an awkward pause, and this is me saying goodbye.